Hello, friends, and welcome to Profoundish. I'm today's host, Weston. Alex will be joining me shortly as we prepare ourselves for a very random episode about pistachio nuts and smell-o-vision. Stay tuned for After the Break, where we go over moral dilemmas, both weird and strange. You're listening to Profoundish. No, what it feels like is it's been a month. I don't know why. It feels like I haven't recorded anything. I don't have any concept of time anymore. Is this... I need to see a doctor. Is this early dementia? I don't know what time is.
The worst part is that you've said that almost verbatim like 6 times on this podcast. No, I'll be honest with you, though. Like right now, I am also... There's a lot of... this. I've told you this over our text. I said a lot of curveballs being thrown at me just with life. Right now, like good and bad, just depends. And I will say, though, that when there's things happening that are like beyond your control and more things that happen than you're used to, I don't look at the clock. I don't look at the calendar. I have no idea what time is either right now. So I'm with you. So it does feel like it's been weeks since we last did our episode, which would have been just the Halloween one. And that's just not true. It was not that long ago. It's weird.
It's super weird. I mentioned this. This is another weird thing that came up. Okay, so this is episode 61 of Profoundish, right?
Okay.
We caught up somehow. I'm going to say very quickly, but not at all quickly. We caught up almost to how many episodes of a Hasty podcast I did. Before I went on like a stupid long break. So... this is old news by the time this episode comes out. I started remaking a Hasty podcast. First episode came out just a little bit ago as of recording this.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I mentioned I've got 2 episodes scheduled, but again, this will be old news by the time this comes out. I've got 2 scheduled episodes out. I sent out a Patreon update, and I've got the ball rolling again for that one because what number was I at? I already forget. I just looked at all this, but I already forget. Hang on, I'm gonna Google it. But I left off on like episode 62 or 63 or something like that, and I'm like, hold on, we're catching up. Profoundish is catching up.
Well,
62.
First of all, just want to say I'm excited for a Hasty podcast. So there's one, as of the recording this, there's one out now, or you said scheduled?
Yeah.
Sorry.
One's out now. As of recording this, it came out today. I'm sure everybody did because it's been so long. If no one has listened to it at this point, I would not be shocked.
Well, I'm going to my Spotify because that will be my commute listen because I love a Hasty podcast, so everybody go listen to that. It's if you like hearing Weston talk here, it's basically Profoundish without me. It's great. And then he just kind of babbles on.
I really do. I just babble. I just go. And I mentioned it because we're talking about having no concept of time. I mentioned it over on that podcast that I picked up a second job. So I really don't know what day it is because I'm running 2 different job schedules right now and all of the extracurricular schedules that we do, like this podcast, for example. So I need a caretaker. What do they call them? I need a secretary. I need someone to keep me on track. I need someone in my face and in my ear.
Now, do you have the means right now to be able to pay a secretary a decent wage?
Define decent wage. No. I'm going to hire someone on Fiverr for $5.
This reminds me of something. Here, you did a plug. I'm going to do a quick one to Cap Nostalgic Saturday Morning. So so go check that out, everybody. Dave and I are writing this funny joke for our next season, and basically, it's we're 2 guys trying to run a show, a pop culture show that just keeps falling apart, and we're also 2 idiots that are running this show, and we have an intern who we put in charge of payroll. And we have this joke, because that's stupid enough as it is. We have this joke where it's going to be like a cold open. And it's going to be, I don't even know if we're actually going to write this in, but I was laughing so hard when we wrote this because it was basically, it's me and Dave sitting down and I go, man, we made a mistake. Like, I can barely pay the bills now at home. Like, we should not have put our intern in charge of payroll. And then he's like, or I'm like, you know, he's like, yeah, I agree, man. You know, I got paid, he paid me $22 for this past month, 22. And I said, you got $22? He gave me 22 nuts. Just that was it. Just he gave you $22. I got 22 nuts, not even dollars. And like we're just letting him abuse us like this. That's all. Anyway, we laughed very hard when we wrote that because it's just so dumb.
What kind of nuts were they?
And we haven't gotten that far. Pistachio nuts, because I would eat the crap out of those.
That was the one I was thinking. I'm okay with it. Well, because then you can actually keep the shells and pretend they're currency, like little coins or something.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, you can buy the pistachios now without the shells.
I want the shells, though.
I have an opinion on those. I was going to say, I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel like part of the pistachio process, like the consuming process, is the reward. And I feel like the reward is getting through the shell to get to the seed. Because sometimes, or the nut, because sometimes it's kind of hard to break open. And I just feel like it's just that much more rewarding when you break it open and you can eat it. You know what I mean?
I do. Like, it feels like if you eat a bunch of already shelled pistachios that they're just a different experience, but also you can eat them so much faster, because that's my issue with like buying a jar of peanuts, right? I can grab them by the handful and I can go through way too many peanuts too quickly. And nuts aren't like crazy cheap, right?
No, they're not.
So with the pistachios, they come with their own sort of like method of slowing you down. You have to get through the shell to eat one, and then you get to savor each one like more because you have to peel away at them.
Right. Yeah. And then plus, if you're trying not to load up on like tons of fats, you know, that's also a great way to look at it too, because odds are you're just, you're eating slower in general. So, which, yeah, I totally get that. I actually quite often get actual peanuts in the shell still. The problem that I have, and you're going to think I'm a sicko, and I'm going to say it right here, but there's been a time or two I've eaten those with the shell, and I know that's gross, but I don't care because it's salty, and I love salty.
I was going to say, I've had a little bit of shell, but like I understand like sucking on the shell to get like that salt off of it. That's not good,
okay,
though.
You get it. Yeah. Oh, no. But, God, it's not good, but it's so good.
I mentioned peanuts earlier. I didn't even think of, peanuts come in shells. But, you know, cashews, almonds, the mixed nuts, all the rest of it. But I think the last time I had a shelled, not a shelled, but like an in-shell peanut was like Texas Roadhouse.
Oh, yeah. So Texas Roadhouse is definitely one of them. They have those giant barrels when you enter in, and they got just like peanuts everywhere. I don't know if this was local to us in the Midwest, but there used to be a chain called Lone Star, and it was kind of like a spin-off Texas Roadhouse. Are you familiar with Lone Star?
A little bit. I think I'd been at least a few times.
Okay, so I don't know if they still exist now, but I know they did when we were coming up, and that's where my dad and I would usually go. And when I was a kid, and I remember as a kid, I didn't know the name of it, and I always called it Peanuts on the Floor. Like, that's what I thought the name of the restaurant was when I was 6. So, like, Dad, I want to go to Peanuts on the Floor. And he knew exactly where we needed to go. We're going to Lone Star.
See, if you said that to any of us, we would have thought Texas Roadhouse.
Exactly. And then later on, we started going to Texas Roadhouse, and I was like, oh, so this is Peanuts on the Floor 2.0, because they got the rolls. Now it's peanuts on the floor and it's rolls in my mouth, and nothing's better.
Now, did you ever open your roll, like, you know, cut it in half or whatever, butter your roll, but then also put bits of peanut into the roll and close it and make like a peanut and butter roll sandwich?
I can't tell if you're just doing a Weston ad-lib thing or if
this was
something you really do.
This was a real thing in my family. We did this.
Oh, they made like little like peanut, like butter peanut sandwiches.
Yeah,
kind of
out of the rolls. Yeah, they were so good.
I'm sure it's good. No, I ate those all pretty much in unison. Like I would eat them all at once, but I would never combine them together. So you were just kind of adding some efficiency. That's what you were doing.
I couldn't say who came up with it first in our family, but it's just we just always used to do that as kids or whatever.
It's a hasty tradition.
It's a hasty tradition to peanut your rolls and butter them up. Peanut your buttered rolls.
Listen, kids, peanut your rolls and don't you forget it.
Don't you
Just like my granddad used to do.
Don't you forget to peanut your rolls now. You hear me?
Oh, man. I think about Texas Roadhouse. I'm thinking about the rolls are good. By the way, Texas Roadhouse, we're open for a sponsorship if you want to talk. But
yeah, very open.
I've had multiple siblings work for you for many years. We've given you our fair share of labor and money.
If you're not familiar with this, since you don't actually live in the area anymore, I live like 2 blocks from one now.
Oh, do you really?
I can record this podcast like on set. I can be there in the Texas Roadhouse if we get that sponsorship.
Gosh. Profoundish on location.
On location.
Dude, I would drive. I mean, I drive up to Illinois for a little bit and spend that time up there with you at a Texas Roadhouse if we could do that. I totally would do that. That'd be awesome. We can set up a little camera.
Next time you're up.
Just eat peanuts. We should just go in there like, hey, we're here for the, we're Profoundish. We're doing the sponsorship video.
Oh, hear me out. We wear lav mics hooked up to like our belt or whatever, and we just have an ASMR episode of the podcast where we're just what we talk about and do the entire time is just there being recorded.
Here's what I love. We could do that, but then I think if they weren't positioned just the right way, they could just pick up like the sounds of you and me like talking to each other, but then also like just the cracks of like peanuts.
That's exactly like what I'm saying. Yeah,
throwing them in the can.
Just like literally chewing on peanuts.
The sounds and smells. Well, we can't do smells, but we can do sounds. The sounds of Texas Roadhouse.
One day. I don't even...
That actually sounds really fun.
I know smell-o-vision has been like a joke for like ever, but could you imagine literally having a weird odorizer just attached to like your TV or your monitor or something like that just like literally squirts your face with smelly air?
It was a joke, but it actually was trying to be taken seriously for a while, too. I think this was in the 80s.
They tried to do them in theaters, though, right?
No, they did some consumer ones. Hold on.
Oh.
Smell-o-vision, invention. I know that this was attempted. It was a failure, of course, because you had to get the right television, of course, or the right contraption that goes with your television, and you'd have to watch the right media that complements it, right? So it was such a small... I remember learning about this. The process injected 30 odors in... Well, there's the movie theater. I could have swore... I got to look at it. Maybe I'll get back to you, because I could have swore I saw... There was an attempt to make a consumer product as well, and it just completely failed.
I could see there being an attempt just as a concept, but like I can't ever see it being in practice. It would be too niche, and it just probably wouldn't be compatible with the vast majority of like stuff that you'd be watching. Well, I could see it in theaters if it's made for kind of like a 4D experience, but
yeah, think about how many third parties would have to be involved, because if you want it to be successful, obviously it would be really great to get like, say, these already pre-established television shows, like for consumer, right? Television shows or movies or whatever. You would have to get another third party in there to like create the kinds of smells that would need to come out at the right times for these old movies that have already been made. Because odds are these big Hollywood companies aren't going to go, oh, you want us to do this for Forrest Gump? It's like, no, we're not going to do that. So somebody third party would have to come in and probably do that for this product. You know what I mean? Like there would be so many more people involved. A lot of irons in the furnace, I think. And it probably just wouldn't be,
A lot of irons in the furnace. I have not heard that one. I like it.
You haven't heard that?
No.
A lot of irons,
like a lot of hands hands or cooks or chefs in the kitchen. I've heard
a lot of cooks in the kitchen. Yeah.
You
haven't heard irons in the furnace? That's a thing. I'm gonna look that one up. Did I make that one up?
A lot of thumbs or fingers in the pie.
Oh, I said it a little wrong. I guess it's irons. It's a lot of irons in the fire. But same kind of idea.
Same concept. Yeah, some of these are just similar, but like I don't think I knew that one.
Usually I do say that. Thank you though, but usually I do say cooks in the kitchen myself. I think a lot of cooks in the kitchen. That's a pretty big one. Hey, speaking of cooks in the kitchen, I have to give the shout out while we're on Texas Roadhouse.
Yeah.
Their steaks are also to die for. If you're a steak person, they're really good. So for like a chain restaurant, that's my favorite steak for sure.
I'm trying to remember what it was for someone's birthday in like my family. I think it might have been like my grandma's birthday. It was something like that, where we went to Texas Roadhouse, and I'm trying to remember what I ordered there. It was like I was just calling it the roadkill because it was like steak, but it was like chopped steak or something like that, and it was just like it was basically meat and like mushrooms, and then whatever you wanted for your side. And even though it wasn't like literally like a steak, even that was really savory. That was pretty good. The seasonings and sauces and stuff they use is pretty good stuff.
Yeah, you mentioned the mushrooms. That's when I first discovered like sautéed mushrooms on steak is like divine, and I really like it that way now. So any chance I can get it, I'll say yes, I want the steak on it. They also do the for like just the kind of the standard like ribeyes, they would do that with onions too, and I'd always say no onions because I'm not an onion boy. I'm not picky. I'll eat anything, but I just can't. I can't play that onion game. I just can't do it.
You can't eat an onion like an apple. Just
oh god, people can do that. People do that. It's horrifying. The issue with me is that I know for a fact I'm also not dumb, and I know that onion is involved in so much cooking, and so sometimes I'll eat things and I'll even know there's onion in it, and if I don't taste it, that's okay. But we all know that onion's super prominent, whether it's its smell or its flavor, if it's there, which is probably why it's so involved in cooking. And as soon as I can smell it or remotely taste it, doesn't matter. It's equal like disdain from smell or taste. Can't do it. Don't know what it is. I call it the devil's fruit.
Is it all onions or only like specifically yellow onion or red onion?
Nope. It doesn't matter. They all smell terrible to me and they make me sick. They're all vile to me.
Green onion.
Yeah, can't do green onion.
Isn't that the one that looks like a long? Yeah, it looks like a giant, I don't know, turnip or something. There's really long green ones.
And tell me if I'm wrong, but isn't green onion usually too like that's usually what they like finely cut that up and like put that on sandwiches a lot and stuff? Or am I making that up? Or am I mixing that up with something else that is
I mean, you certainly can. I don't know how common that is. I don't ever see green onion anywhere unless I'm just not realizing that I'm eating it, which is possible.
I think there's something else that's chopped up finely that's green that's like onion, but it's not onion. So I might be mixing that up with something else.
Well, they're also called scallions if you're just thinking of scallions.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yes. Okay, we're talking about the same thing. I will say I have a weird line with onion rings. So like the super like cheap ass onion rings, like that aren't really like real onions in there. You know what I mean? Like I can eat those, but if you go to like those more like I don't know the restaurants that really like hone in on their burgers, like a Red Robin style, like they're really like, hey, here's our burgers. Usually their onion rings are also an actual onion ring breaded and fried, right? Those I can't do because that onion is just there.
You're more of a Funyun guy.
Line. Say what?
You're more of a Funyun guy.
I'll do a Funyun. It's not my favorite, but I'll do a Funyun.
Any onion in it. It's just fake onion. It's like onion powder on a crispy thing.
Exactly. Yeah, I'll even like when I'm cooking, I'll use onion powder sometimes. So if something calls for like something onion related and it doesn't need it, but like I feel like it's gonna need a little bit of that flavor, whatever it does when it's mixed with stuff, I'll just substitute with onion powder if possible, if it doesn't completely change the dish. And
I mean, you've always got garlic powder at your disposal too. If you don't want to do onion, it's like, well, just garlic powder.
Have you ever had real garlic before?
Yeah, not often. It's usually garlic powder. I've had little bits of garlic and stuff, like garlic clove.
Yes, my future mother-in-law, she made this dish. I can't even remember what it was, but it was just, I think it was basically like this really like fancy seasoned crackers that like she made, and then we like you would put like just take a little bit from that garlic and just like put it on the cracker itself and eat it. Super simple. Obviously, just a little bit of garlic. I learned that after my first bite. I put too much on there because it's straight up garlic, and it's delicious. Holy crap. And that was my first time, I think, having actual garlic and not just garlic powder or whatever. So that was delicious. But man, it gives you butt breath.
Does if your butt smells like garlic.
Right. Give her a garlic butt.
That's just like if you eat a lot of garlic, your breath will smell like garlic. But I guess you'd fart garlic too. I don't know. ? I guess coming back to smell-o-vision here, baby. We got to have them garlic farts in our TV.
Garlic farts. God, that's disgusting to me. Like any other food, and then the word fart would probably be better than garlic farts. Like, I mean, but then again, I don't know if any would be great, but no, you laughed at that. That's something that my mom would always say growing up was like, what did I just say? Butt something.
Butt breath.
Forgot. Oh, butt breath. I don't know where she got it from, but that's what I always heard her say it. Like, oh, you got some bad butt breath. You need to brush your teeth.
Ours was like dragon's breath. Like if your breath stank, it was like dragon breath.
Which you can imagine.
I don't know where that comes from. Like, I guess like if your breath smelled sulfurous, which is kind of like onions.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense. To me, I would say like if you were to guess what a dragon's breath would smell like, I don't think it would be good.
It wouldn't be good, but like I don't know, like morning breath is like usually your dragon breath type thing. It's like I don't know if morning breath would be like I don't know. It makes you wonder. I want to see. Okay, smell-o-vision people, get on this. Game of Thrones, dragon like kills everybody or whatever. What does that smell like? I don't think it would smell like morning breath. Is what I'm saying.
Oh wait, okay. When you said that, you're like, okay, Game of Thrones, dragon kills everybody. What would that smell like? It's like it's gonna smell like millions of rotting, like we're just actually no, just charred bodies. That's what that's gonna smell like.
I guess that's true.
Oh my gosh,
charred flesh.
Is that what you meant when you said that? I thought you were just trying to describe what a dragon does.
I was trying to describe what the dragon's breath would smell like, but I guess if you want to describe the scene of a dragon charring a bunch of flesh into just ash, then maybe that's what we're going for.
Well, this is interesting because if you talk about smell-o-vision, you do need to decide where you draw your line because you're not going to be fixated as a viewer on every aspect of the scene at once. So maybe that would be too confusing, and you should focus on one thing. Like even if it is a scene of a dragon, I can't believe we're talking about smell-o-vision like this, but a dragon, like, it's blowing fire and it's killing all these innocent people. Yeah, you're going to be viewing a lot, but I feel like the thing that's going to be most prominent to the viewer would be like the smell of like something, I know, like smoke or something that represents fire. I feel like there'd be too much to worry about with other things. I think it would probably be too much for the nose.
Well, I kind of imagine it's like the early days of smell-o-vision. Like you'd only ever have one thing at one time. I'm imagining like the Soarin' ride at like Disney World, where like when you fly over Florida, and over the like orange, what do you call orange farms, groves or whatever. You can smell the orange. Yeah. And it's like, oh, it's so good. That's what I'm imagining. So like a smell-o-vision, you have like one like key smell for key scenes. But as the technology grows and becomes more available and more people are in the job, I'm imagining one day you have like Foley artists for like movies, but now you've got Smoley artists.
I
Foley
like
artists.
It. Oh, that'd be awesome.
And they start to add the nuance and add things together to create this tapestry of odor.
Okay, here I got a fun I think question that we could have fun with. If that gets to a point, so let's talk about Foley because that's something that I don't personally do, but it's like a dream of mine to do it. And so I know a lot about it, and all these sounds. Within reason, with some exceptions, usually these sounds are completely trademarked, right? And where does that go with smells? Like, is there going to be like copyright like related things with smells when like say it takes off, right?
Weirdly, I think it would actually be a patent Because the different chemicals or methods that you use to create the smell would probably be, because that's like an invention, right? I think that you might have patented formulas or something like that to create smells, but the smell itself, I don't think can be copywritten because the way people experience a smell is so different.
Right. It's not. Yeah, because if you look at the definition of like a copyright of something or whatever, yeah, it's about something that's been like not. But when I say printed, I don't mean like on a piece of paper. Just something that's printed, it's created, it's there. This is what it is.
Right.
It's kind of different. I know what you're saying. That's like an invention, chemicals, whatever. I wonder if that's the case, because it would be really. Because it's not like every single movie would have completely different smells. Like there's going to be multiple movies that have fire. There's going to be multiple movies that have. I don't know.
Yes, but the Smoley artist figures out how that tapestry of smells interplay with everything else in a scene. So that's where the artistry comes in.
That still sounds super fun. Like it really, like imagine that being your job. Like, all right, let's watch, let's see. That seriously would. I don't think there would ever be a dull day until you have to do like, okay, hold on a second, I got another one. Remember the movie Daddy Daycare?
I remember it existing.
Eddie Murphy?
I don't think I ever saw it though. I remember it existing.
You might remember the ads for it if I kind of jog your memory. So there's that infamous scene from Daddy Daycare where Eddie Murphy, he's like taking care of all these kids. He's not prepared for it. He's a dumb dad. And he just walks into this bathroom after like a kid like completely destroyed it. And like there's like this horror music playing and he looks down at the toilet. And then it shows him looking up at the ceiling, and he's equally disgusted. So, like, everywhere he's looking, clearly there's poop somewhere. Think about doing the Smoley for that scene.
That I think that would single-handedly put consumers off from going to Smoley films, unfortunately.
So we'll have to draw some lines somewhere.
But, like, at the same time, unless maybe people just become desensitized to the concept, where like you actually learn to appreciate smells for what they are as opposed to being like instinctually repulsed by them. You know what I mean?
Well, that is definitely a thing. I mean, I grew up most of my life in the country outside of town, and I actually now am kind of nostalgic and miss and like the smell of manure.
I'll never like the smell of manure. It's only tolerable.
Here's what I mean. So, I guess like is probably the wrong word, but like when I drive past, I mean, I'm not. If I'm driving past a place that smells like manure, I'm not going. Roll on the windows. You smell that, honey? Memories. It's not that, but I'll go. Oh yeah, memories. And I know for some people it's manure, but I think it's just because we lived on a farmer's property for so long, and he had animals out there and all kinds of things, and I don't smell it much anymore. Because I live in a city, so like if I'm outside of the city and or if I'm back home, you know, that'll happen a lot. I'll be driving in the country roads and I'll smell it and I go, oh yeah, I don't know. So it's something about it. So I wouldn't be surprised if you talk about desensitization too, or desensitization.
Because I'm imagining
that's happening anyway.
Because I feel like your exposure can desensitize you to things, but I also think culturally, right? I'm thinking like horror movies would also probably smell really bad because like gore and guts and stuff. But
yeah.
Even visually speaking, watching like these really gory movies that come out should be disturbing, and it is for some people. That's why it's not really for everyone. But there is at least a fairly good sized group of people that can at least watch and appreciate horror for the genre that it is, for the terror that invokes. You're going there for that feeling, like you're trying to acquire a feeling of dread or terror or any of these things. So in the same way, these like smells would be like just a part of the experience that you can consume. And plenty of people might not like it, might not be their thing, but then other people it would be.
Yeah, I mean, plus you got to think about this too. There's a lot of purists in any art form. And their main goals, a lot of their goals, it might be at main, but a lot of their goals are to just represent reality and be realistic. That's huge in every art medium. And what better way to do that by also incorporating realistic smells in general? So I do feel like, though, and maybe this is why it failed in movie theaters before or whatever, it does still feel really niche. Like, I don't know, I would give it a shot, though. Like if there was a movie theater nearby that had smell-o-vision, whatever you want to call it, I'd give it a shot.
I think as a gimmick, as a novelty, I would definitely give it a shot. For me, it's the if it took off, kind of like the 3D movies. Like they still exist, but they're kind of like a gimmick or whatever.
They tried those for a long time.
Yeah, if they really took off, I wonder how widespread it could get, or if it would always be like, you know how there's like the Big D theater or whatever. Is that IMAX or is that the Big I or something? I don't remember. But these different theaters that have the giant screens and that big old experience, and then you've got like 3D theaters. Would they all be separate, or will there one day be like the big screen with the 40K and then also smells and then also 3D and also your seats rumble?
Right. Well, because, right now I always go to the gimmicks because I know there's that one at Disney somewhere where it's something tropical or something bug-related. I don't know. Maybe you'll know, but there's this one part at the end where it's like, careful, watch your seats. We might have let the bugs out. And then, there's and then, it feels like there's these little things that come up in your seat and they kind of, rub across your butt. And it's it feels like there's, cockroaches, running past you or something. And it freaked me out the first time we did that.
Yeah, I think that was a Bug's Life 4D.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Thing.
The 3D stuff, I remember, I'm only bringing this up because you were involved in this memory. You were there to help me set up my TV when I bought it at the time. This was right when 4K was becoming a thing. I wish I would have waited just one freaking year later because I spent way too much money on it, but whatever. It was also...
That still drives you insane.
Still, you know why? Because I see what this exact TV, or not the exact, but similar TVs are now. But yeah, because I spent over $2,000 on this TV, and it would have been, for the quality that it is now, if I would have got the same thing, and this thing is still lasting me, so I guess I should be thankful because this is many years ago.
Yeah,
it'd be like true. $700 now. But anyway, I digress. So you were there to help me get this TV because it was a huge honking thing, me, you, and a couple of other buddies. And one of its big selling points at the time, this would have been 2014, I think. A big selling point was 3D. Because remember, for a while they were doing 3D on the TVs too. They were trying to make that a thing.
Yeah, as a setting or something. But yeah,
yeah. So mine had this pseudo 3D effect on anything. You didn't have to watch 3D movies. It would just kind of layer normal television content for you. And you could put on these glasses and watch it. And it kind of actually worked, which was kind of weird. It wasn't great, but we were trying that night, I remember. And then we never touched it again. There it is. It's okay, this is cool. I think I lied. I might have showed my family once when they came over to my apartment. Hey, look what this thing can do. But then besides that, never touched it again.
It's the novelty of it. It seems like a cool idea, but then especially when you think about why you watch TV, it's if I just want to plop down on the couch and just freaking veg, I don't want to put these glasses on. Yeah. Or what a lot of people do, if you're watching some Netflix show or something and you're like, oh, I'm going to pull out my phone and check a few things while I'm just kind of idling here. And you can't really do both. You might kind of you might disorient yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, that's very niche. At the end of the day, if it ain't broke,
then break it.
If it ain't broke, break it so you can buy something else.
Yeah, duh. Well, Alex, this has been the piercing episode. No, I'm just kidding.
What was it? Was it Smell-O-Vision? Was it the Smell-O-Vision episode?
No, not at all. But it's okay. It totally works. This was I was going to allude to it, but we just had things to talk about. This is the episode that I prepared nothing for.
Oh, that's perfect.
This goes back to, man, we're just so busy. I don't know what day it is. I was going to eventually bring it up. Listen, I'm just going to start pulling random topics to talk about. And we didn't need to. We had plenty to talk about ourselves, so we didn't even need the random topics.
Dude, yeah, come on. We don't need that. Come on. It is I still want to do that other episode pretty soon where we both start drinking kind of heavy and then we do pull up the topips, do lightning round topips. We should do that again.
Right.
That was fun.
All right. I was going to say, I thought you were just I can't wait to drink.
Oh, it's been a long week. Can't wait to drink. No, we should do that again though, and this time we got to keep up with each other. Because last time I was fumbling around talking about America, and you were just like, yep, all right, Alex, it's time to go. It's been 3 hours.
Listen, the way I remember it is that I don't remember it much at all. So it must have been okay, right? I'm sure it was fine.
I mean, we're here, so.
But
yeah, we're
needless to say, we're here, and we'll meet all of you over there on the other side of the short break, as Alex and I are about to dive into some random moral quandaries.
Oh, more moral stuff. Fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Profoundish is brought to you in part by A Hasty Podcast, my own personal podcast talking about life, games, media, and sometimes featuring guests. Look for it on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Profoundish is brought to you in part by Alex Duquette Medleys. I make theme song medleys, which is where I take a bunch of theme songs and mash them up into one bite-sized song. From Nickelodeon to Adult Swim, I cover it all. So, if you want to take a fun nostalgic trip, search my name, Alex Duquette, on YouTube, or go to alexduquette.net.
Listen here, you pipsqueak, sonny boy. Back and Matty.
Pipsqueak. That's an old one. Pipsqueak.
Yeah. That's like very classic, like cartoon bully or cartoon older sibling picking on their younger sibling type. Hey, listen here, pipsqueak.
Yeah, like on the Andy Griffith show or something. Sorry, I stuttered there. Like old school. Hey, what are you doing, pipsqueak? You know.
Yeah, I can see it there.
Brother.
I could also see it as recent as, I feel like maybe like Fairly Odd Parents or something. I'm imagining that Vicky bully girl may have called, I don't even remember his name, Timmy, I think.
Timmy Turner.
Yep. Yeah. I feel like that's
that
the last time. I feel like she called him Pipsqueak, and I feel like that's the last time on air, on media, in TV, I've ever heard Pipsqueak used. I think that was the last time I heard it.
Yeah, but maybe more in like a... almost using it, not sarcastically wouldn't be the right word. I feel like Andy Griffith would be like that's just what you said.
Yeah.
Listen, pipsqueak. But then in the 90s, or I guess this would have been early 2000s. Yeah, it's like, listen, pipsqueak. You know, kind of like yeah. I think we know what the other one's saying.
We need to do a whole episode where we just learn really old slang for things that have like fallen out of use and try to bring them back.
And we should at least cake it in throughout the entire episode. Like, come prepared. We should both pick an era. We should both pick an era of slang words or whatever. And then we have to guess, as we slowly, like, code it into the whole episode, we have to guess at the end which era, like, what decade or something we picked. Like, okay, Weston, it sounds like you did the 70s or something. Like, I think that'd be fun. But you have to pick, like, a bunch of ones. Popular ones, maybe more obscure ones. That could be fun.
That's got a good game idea behind it. We could do that. Look at my
yams.
That
right here on the show. All right.
Look at my yams. They're beautiful. Is it yams or gams? I think it's gams. Gams. I think it was like I think it was like a 40s or 50s slang for legs, I think.
Oh, now you're reminding me. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Gams or something. Yeah, that does sound
Gams. I said, look at my yams. I don't even know the slang I'm trying to use.
Well, there's a yams joke in Fairly Odd Parents. That's what I thought you were going for. There's like this, the mom is talking about her yams. That's where I thought you were going. I thought you were going back to Fairly Odd Parents.
Not even a little bit. Listen, I've watched the show, but I don't know it that. We are all over the place. Okay? You want me to read you a moral dilemma here?
Why don't we just do that? Yeah.
You want me to read you? For anybody unfamiliar, we did this once before on the show. I have a fat stack of cards from a card game called Moral Dilemma. And it's supposed to be for like 3 or more players. It's a party game where you all kind of decide what's the moral solution to these different prompts, but there's only a limited selection of what you can choose from. And you kind of try to guess what everyone else would guess, and you kind of like try to figure that out and you talk about it. It's like a party game. I don't remember the exact rules of how it's supposed to work, but the way Alex and I are playing it here on the podcast between the two of us is that I read a silly little moral dilemma and then the options that we have to answer and decide which one's more moral.
Yep.
Yeah. And this first one that I have here is a green circle, so I think it's an easy, silly one.
Okay. I like easy and silly.
You and your friend have been locked in a room for several days waiting for help. You can hear the zombies milling around outside. You have a chainsaw and a flamethrower. Snacks are running dangerously low. Do you A, make a break for it and potentially go down fighting? Or B, make barbecued friend over a roaring flamethrower and hope that that will keep you full until help arrives?
So I'm trying to actually dig into it, like if I were actually in the situation and not just answer lightly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. We've got potentially lives at stake here.
Right.
I mean, I feel like the moral thing isn't roasting your friend over a barbecue.
But I'm just answering. That's true. We have to pick the most moral. It's not which one would you pick necessarily. It's which one's the more moral.
Are you telling me the one you would pick is for barbecue your friend? Is that what you're saying?
No, what I am saying.
Next time I'm in a zombie apocalypse, we're not doing the podcast together. I know exactly where that episode's going.
No, I guess I was just thinking, like, if I actually were that desperate, would that be the direction I would take? But the answer probably would still be no. It would be, let's make a run for it. I don't want to eat you. I want to eat pizza or whatever.
Even if you wanted to eat me, right? Even if you did that, I feel like the obvious solution is you have to make a break for it because you've already been, according to this prompt, you've already been waiting several days for help. So, like, eating a friend, obviously, like, if you ate me, you murdered me in cold blood with your chainsaw, and you ate me, I'm only going to sustain you for, like, another couple of days. If that helps not coming, that helps not coming. You know what I mean? But if you keep me alive, we can at least both work together and have a fighting chance of finding the help.
Correct. Yeah, because the worst case scenario would happen starting with that. So it would be, I would kill you and I would eat you, and then say nobody still comes for help. Eventually, I'm going to have to break out, and then I'll probably get mauled by zombies. That's like a double negative whammy right there. When, yeah, we have a better chance at least together as a two-person team. So, yeah, that definitely makes a lot more sense. And when you actually think about it, there's really no... Why wouldn't you do it that way? As opposed to eating your friend.
The only reason you would barbecue your friend is if you knew help was on the way, and you're like, okay, I just need to hold out for 3 more days. I could eat a person over the course of 3 days. Then maybe it would actually be tempting. But because it's like, oh, you've been waiting several days for help. There's nothing here that says help is on the way. So I'm kind of thinking, I'd take my chances making a run for it. I'd probably die, but otherwise you just starve to death together. Anyway.
Right,
we die together to blaze of glory. With what did it say? We have a chainsaw and a flamethrower, so we'd go down pretty epic.
Well, we have to have. What I would love is like we have to have that flag. It's like that dark teal green flag with a big yellow P on it, and then we have to like stake that flag down somewhere before we die. Like that. This is where you know what I mean.
This is where Profoundish fell.
That's exactly.
Mark it and then historically.
And then we'll have our own version of, like our version of Star Spangled Banner.
Yeah.
Our own version. Like people will sing songs about it later is what I'm saying.
I'm trying to think. The Profoundish Spangled? The Star Spangled Profoundish? I have no idea what to call this song.
Get back to me on it. Back to the drawing boards.
All right, here's another quandary for us. You and your soulmate have finally found each other, but an outbreak of a deadly pandemic disease will wipe out the Earth's population in 4 hours. I feel like this card definitely aged well since this game came out before COVID happened.
I was wondering, yeah.
Do you, A, stay and spend the remaining time together until you both die in loving embrace? Or B, board the evacuation spaceship with your soulmate bound for another Earth-like planet, losing all your memories by being put into cryogenic stasis?
Wait, what? Well, okay,
yeah.
So there's a lot thrown into that second option. Can you read that second option again?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Board the evacuation spaceship with your soulmate, bound for another Earth-like planet, losing all your memories by being put into cryogenic stasis.
So it's either that or just live out your final hours together.
Yeah.
This is a weird one. I mean...
It is weird.
I guess, like, really... Because you're going to forget you're either going to die in 4 hours, or you're going to forget everything in so much time. So, I mean, what do you think? And I don't know.
I feel like because they're leaning on the soulmate aspect here, so I'm assuming it's someone you get along with very well. I assume if you board the spaceship together, and if you get like two like cryogenic pods close to each other, at least when you like get to the other Earth planet and come out, there's at least a decent chance you'll meet each other.
Yeah.
And if you already met and fell in love once, I'm banking on the idea that at least maybe you can meet and fall in love again.
That's fair. If this is your soulmate by kind of its traditional definition, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I guess I would do that. Because at first I got a little confused because I thought this was going to go a different direction. Because when you said the first part, which was spend those final hours with your soulmate, I thought because the way it was worded, it said didn't it say you just met your soulmate or you finally met? I feel like, did we just meet?
Yeah.
Because like it's not worth it. I'd rather spend time with my family. But I don't know how long we've been together or whatever.
I guess not very long, because it says you and your soulmate have finally found each other. So I don't know if you just met or if you haven't known each other for very long. I kind of agree with you. If you chose that first one where you're spending your final moments embraced with each other, it's like you don't know this person.
Right. Like, no. I'm glad I found my soulmate, but honestly, I want to go, tell my mom that I love her. Like, we got 4 hours. So, I don't know. Out of those two, I guess, should we assume that we've known how long are we assuming we've known our soulmate? I guess let's start there.
Just for a little
while. We should make that call. For a little while?
You met and, like, I'm going to say, like, properly met. Like, you've had a conversation and you're like, oh, yeah, cool. You seem neat. Let's talk more at a future time.
I think I still would say, hey, let's get these pods next to each other on this escape shuttle, and if we are soulmates, let's take these chances. And assuming our personalities aren't going to be changed at all, who knows? We could mesh well together once we get out of this. And just kind of go romantically that way instead. It's kind of a similar ending, quote unquote, because it's both like we want to make this work and we know we only have so much time. But at least it's kind of piggybacking off what you said earlier. You do have greater chances of maybe continuing that romance. It's possible if you're both coming out of that.
At least it's possible that way. Whereas if you only have 4 hours left, I mean, there's not a lot of emotional character development you're going to have.
Yeah, and then you're just gone. So, like, at the end of the day, it's kind of like, are you going to value somebody, like, the relationship of somebody you've just recently met, or value your life? Is really what it boils down to.
I choose life.
So I'm going to choose life. And then, hey, if we can also, still maybe fall in love in the future, there's a chance, let's do it. So, yes, I think we're both on the same page.
I think we're on the same page, and I think it's the right decision. Here's another one. This one. Do you, A, restrict what people can say so as to not offend anyone, or B, let anyone say whatever they want, even if it causes weak-minded people to die, riot, or cry? That second one kind of went dark right at the end.
That went way more extreme than I thought it was going to go. So people can... So we're implying here that people can say whatever they want, and that could result in people dying.
Which, I mean, it's really the free speech argument, right? Like, people can, because you talk about people getting, like, radicalized today. That's, like, a very real topic. And you can convince people to do heinous things for either an ideology or a belief or a creed or whatever. So it's really just a matter of, do you believe in free speech, even though it could hurt people? Or do you believe you should be able to restrict what people say so as to not offend anyone at all. Like, not even to, like, it's not even about preventing death at this point. It's like literally down to the granular point of not even offending people, which I feel like in itself is like an impossibility, but
well, exactly. I was going to say, if that were a possibility, which I do not think it is either, if it were, I feel like we would be so limited on what we could say, like to an extreme limited. Like, here is your list of sentences that you can use, limited. And
right,
that doesn't sound too great either. I mean, I think that really takes away from a lot of the joys of the human experience, communicating with people. And, like, in general. Like, you know, like, what if I wanted to tell you something that I know wouldn't offend you, and it was just kind of a funny little thing? But somebody, even if it's just one person somewhere, could take offense to that. Well, no, I can't say it. Right? That completely affects our relationship. So I think it would actually have more immediate effects on relationships going that way than it would be saying free speech, you know?
And I don't know how you could even have a unique relationship with really anyone, because at that point, if you're not allowed to offend anyone, everyone is going to have to agree in like every possible way, in ideology, in sense of humor, etc. And at that point, you kind of just become a hive mind. Like, no one's special to anyone other than maybe just literally physical appearance, I guess. Which actually, there's a question. If everyone is exactly the same in terms of like speech, and the only way you can differentiate anyone is by sight, does that make like everyone inherently like more racist, sexist, etc.? Just because the only way you can judge people is not on thought and mind, but literally by physical appearance.
Oh my gosh. You have no choice. That's like, interesting.
If we are going to go to that far extreme of like literally you cannot allow offense, period. Because it's worded to, you know, restrict what people can say so as to not offend anyone. I'm assuming that's going to the extreme of not offending anyone and not just saying, oh, you can restrict things a little bit to like make people less offended. That doesn't, you know, that's not what it's saying, right?
Yeah. It's no one's offended. I believe that would have such a greater detrimental effect on humankind that I'm so absolutely not. I'm gonna my answer would be, I think, you know, stick to the status quo per se, and yeah, we obviously know that we've got extremism and, you know, radicalism and all that, but that's just everything ebbs and flows. Everything has pros and cons, right? And
sure.
Anyway, I'm sticking with that. Yeah.
I'm going to, like, I am 100% for free speech as an individual, but also, like, the whole restriction thing seems like it's impossible. But say it's magically possible to do so. Counter argument, just to play devil's advocate here, would turning all of humanity into that weird hive mind, no one can be offended thing, be morally better than possessing free speech that results in the harm and death of other people? So even though we'd all lose
morality specifically here, I mean,
morally,
like
is it worth it to sacrifice human individuality to save more lives?
I mean, if you're going by strict morals, I mean, I that's a fair point. Because I mean, I think most people would agree, no matter where they sit with their moral compass, that saving lives is a pretty good thing to do. So,
granted,
dang,
there is that sort of utilitarian, I don't know if that's the right word, but utilitarian, like, save more lives equals more good. That's certainly true in a lot of contexts, at least to some people. I will say there is still that sense of, if we lose our individuality and we are all like the same, is that a life worth living? And is that almost a murder of like humanity or the human spirit or something like that in its own sort of way. So just to kind of like lend credence to like morally doesn't necessarily always mean saving the most lives, but that is worth considering. So that's, if you wanted to answer that morally, that actually makes it a little bit more difficult.
Well, let's go to what you just said, right? Because this did get deeper than I thought it would. If you go, you're basically now saying saving lives, okay, like just kind of on a very like individual level, saving lives, or basically preserving what makes humans, like saving. Right. It's not really. Basically, it is kind of like saving mankind as we know it, right? And look at what we have, and having the context of what mankind has done in the years we've been here, and you see that, right? You see what we've accomplished. You've seen what we've done horribly wrong too. But my point is that that's kind of the beauty of the human experience, and I feel like that is a grander picture than saving lives. Because that's just lives. That's the individual person. It's not mankind. You'd be completely cutting out what we know of mankind, whether it be the creative things, the competition, the conflicts, the good and the bad and the ugly of mankind. And like you said, the spirit. I like how you said that, the human spirit. That's gone. So if you look at it that way, I still think I'd go the other way. Like, you know what, if you might have to lose some lives over this, but we're still what we are. We're still human. We're not shells of what we used to be. So I think with context, knowing what mankind has accomplished and just what the human spirit represents and how much it means to everybody and what it's done, I don't know. I could not go against that.
Yeah, I know it's really easy to try to side with the whole, like we shouldn't offend people when you talk about literal bigotry, like calling people slurs or something is obviously not welcome by anybody. But in terms of just not being able to say anything that could offend anybody, I think about how much challenging each other, like not being afraid to ruffle feathers by presenting a new challenging concept has led to technological innovation. I don't remember, there like some scientist, I don't remember if it was like Galileo or somebody that like put to death because of like their scientific discoveries because it like challenged the church or something like that, like a long time ago. I don't remember if that was Galileo or who that was, but that's what I think of. It's just like things like that where if you come up with an idea but it's offensive to people, then, you know, you end up getting punished for that, even though what you are trying to present is better for everybody in terms of like understanding the world and all the rest of it. So I'm going to go with you on that one too. I think morally preserving humanity and like having faith that people challenging each other, even when it's sometimes hurtful and offensive, that challenge makes us all better at the end of the day as like
in the
a
long
people
run,
or something. Yeah.
Right. Because challenge and conflict and other like positive things too, but well, challenge and conflict can be positive, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like those lead to so many, not just advancements technologically, but in other facets too. So I think we're saying the same thing. That got deeper than I thought it would, that one.
Yeah. Some of these are silly. Like some of them seem like they might be, but like you kind of try to like think about it. We'll try to sneak one more in here, maybe.
Yeah, let's do it.
In a fit of road rage, you throw a fistful of change at a car on the freeway. This car has now followed you off your exit, and you are now both awkwardly stuck in gridlock next to each other. They open their door and are approaching your car. Do you...
Sure, of course they are.
A, apologize for your actions and beg for mercy. Or B, act crazy psycho in hopes of scaring them off.
This is a weird one.
What's the right thing to do here?
I mean, I think so if we're going, once again, like kind of moral stuff, acting crazy and trying to scare somebody off, I think, is probably not the way to go, I guess. Even if they were in the wrong, Like, you're the one who threw the fistful of change at their car. So, of course, they're going to come approach you. And the last thing you need is to start a greater altercation. So, I don't know. Maybe you'll have something to say that kind of like a devil's advocate thing again, but I can't think of one. I would the beg for mercy, though. I mean, that's a little extreme.
I think that's the weird hinge. Is like, yeah, apologize because you were kind of already being psycho, just yeeting quarters at someone's car in traffic.
Right.
But it's the beg for mercy part. I feel like probably would rub most people the wrong way, whether it's for a sense of pride, like, I don't want to like beg. Begging is very degrading, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever it might be. But the act crazy psycho in hopes of scaring them off. Now, admittedly, that would absolutely be something you would see in like a comedy movie. It's like, God, he's approaching my car. Put on the crazy face. Put on the crazy eyes. Yep. I'm weird.
Exactly.
No way.
Yeah.
I could see that, though.
I could see it. I could probably see it in some actual, like, footage you can probably find on YouTube, too. So, in all fairness, it's kind of hard for me to determine what's the moral thing to do, though, because, once again, I guess the moral thing, assuming if you were in the wrong, let's say that you're in the wrong, because it doesn't say who's in the wrong on the road. It just says in a fit of road rage. So, whatever happened that's caused the road rage has already happened. So if we can just assume for a second that you are the one who did the thing, and then maybe they did something back, and then you got mad about it, and then you threw the coins, you definitely should apologize. You started it. It's that simple.
Yeah.
Like, they're approaching you, and maybe that's out of line for them to approach you, but they are. You can't change that. Now, we don't really know who started it, I guess, but at the end of the day, It is still kind of the higher ground, I guess, like, to apologize. Like, you're taking the high road, you're apologizing.
Yeah, I think like, from just strictly a moral point of view, apologizing is the most disarming of the situation, I think.
Yeah.
The begging for mercy seems like a little bit over the top.
That's where it gets weird. I know. Yeah.
But at the same time, between the two options, if you're going strictly morally speaking, I guess it's the apologetic angle. I do like the act crazy psycho answer, though. I do like it.
Well, they say, like, if you're coming across like a meth head on the street in the city, it's like all you need to do is out crazy them. That's what you got to do. If they're acting crazy, and they're approaching you, you out crazy them. I've heard people say that.
Meanwhile, the person that's approaching you thought you were the meth head. So when he's trying to out crazy, they're crazy. They're trying to out crazy, you're out crazy. And it's just
God, it's an endless loop.
We've got two non-meth heads trying to out crazy each other on 4th and 9. We got
that's
an officer down here.
Like, it's getting so outlandish just because they're both continuously trying to out crazy the other guy. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. Just some guy brought a horse in, the other guy's doing backflips he's got like these crash cymbals. It's going insane. They're just trying to out crazy the other.
And so they out crazied each other day and night for a week straight before either one of them realized they could just continue on their way. They didn't have to do any of this.
Right. Granddad, tell me about the story about the two non-meth heads that out crazied each other.
I don't even know where they got the water guns.
Some say it was in his back pocket.
Others say one of them was the founder of Smell-O-Vision.
Wow, full circle, man.
Full circle. I thought that I'm just such a professional. I thought that we would bring it in with a full circle.
Yeah, that was appropriate. I liked that.
I think that'll do it for our moral dilemmas. That one was an odd one, but
that was weird.
What would you all do at home? Would you go psycho? Would you take the spaceship? Would you restrict the freedom of speech? What else did we talk about?
And then this last one.
Oh yeah, the zombie. Would you eat your friends?
Yeah, yes, that's right. Would you eat your friends? we do want to know. And the great thing about Profoundish is that you can tell us what you would do in a lot of places. You could do it on YouTube. Just look up Profoundish. Wherever you're listening, you can probably do it, especially on Spotify, because there's going to be a question asking you about it. So you can respond on there, too. There's a few different places, so definitely reach out to us. Or even on our social media platforms. We got social media.
Yeah, at Profoundish Pod on the Twitter and the Instagram and the TikTok.
You know, I'm just going to say it here. I'm going to say it here. If you tell us, any of you, doesn't matter who, doesn't matter. We don't judge here. If you've got an answer for one of these moral dilemmas, let us know, and we will. I'm going to hold myself to this. I'll remember. We will read that on our next episode.
I don't know if it'll be on our next episode, because there's a chance we're going to record an episode before we actually...
Yeah, I had a brain fart, so you're completely right. I forget that we kind of record these ahead of time. So when about 4 episodes or 5 from now, we will read it.
Sometime next year, halfway through next year, we might, maybe, read
We'll read it on our Christmas episode. So just let us know what you think. Anyway.
Do it anyway, because you want to.
Just do it anyway.
Also, while you're at it, check out Alex Duquette at all of his things. Where are those things, Alex?
I think you can find those things at alexduquette.net. You can see everything I do right there. I'm going to give a specific shout-out, I think, this time around to my album. Early in the year, I released Songs from Sangamon Street, Sangamon. That's how you spell Sangamon. Check it out. It's a fun album. I made it with a lot of love and passion, so check it out. And you can get it right on my website, alexduquette.net. So everything and all the links are right there. Go there. What about you, Weston?
You can find my website at westonhasty.com, and that's my landing page for all of the things that I do. I write a little bit of poetry on hastilymadedecision.com. I do some gaming over on YouTube at MagicManMo. Those are my big things. You can come say hi to me on Twitter at Weston Hasty. Again, you can go to my website for all of my things that I do. And that's it. That's all I got for you today, everybody. Thank you all so much for listening. And until next time.
All right.